Hey everyone, my name is Virginia Salas Castillo. I just got done recording an amazing episode with Eric Balance of the Resilient Minds podcast. We went so freaking deep. It was so juicy. I can't wait for you to listen to it. We talked about full self-expression, speaking your truth in every moment, vulnerability, leadership, like how to really lead your team from like a space of integrity and full-heartedness, and really come into a next level of coherence. We talked about all the amazing things that I'm doing in the cryptocurrency space. We talked about humans I trust. We talked about upcoming events. You have to check it out. This is such a powerful episode, one of my favorite episodes I've ever recorded, and I can't wait for you to listen. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, it's Eric Balance coming to you with the Resilient Minds podcast, where I feature beautiful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts in their field, where they help us discover their X factor, their experience of life, only to discover how they were able to accomplish and find out their Y factor, their big why, their purpose in life. So join me as we get to discover the beauty of our minds and how can we really continue to go after the biggest and most wildest dreams while we continue to pursue and manifest our greatest intelligence that comes from the heart. Also, if you haven't, go check out the new alignment course that I've created at www.ericbalance.com/alignment, ALIGNMENT. See you on the show. Welcome everybody to the Resilient Mind podcast. You guys, I'm pumped. I'm super pumped because today, a dear friend that I have truly so much love for is joining me. Jeannie, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much. It's good to finally make this happen. I think that we've been having some technical difficulties over the last little while, but we made it work. So welcome.
Thank you so much. If you mean technical difficulties by me breaking down crying the last time you tried to interview me, yes, I guess you could call that technical difficulties.
You guys, Virginia's amazing. We met in Tulum and she welcomed me into her home and gave me all the love and nurturing and just made me feel like family the moment I met her. But she's more than just loving awareness. She is a crazy, amazing entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, influencer, international speaker. She left university at an early age for a job offer with Apple, and within 12 months, global sales manager, managing billions of dollars there. And today, running this beautiful movement, Humans I Trust, where we have mutual friends all over doing beautiful things. And yeah, tell us a little bit more about Humans I Trust and where it's at, what it's doing. What are you, of course, and your cryptocurrency queen. I forgot about that part.
There's so many layers. It's which hat are we wearing today?
Yeah, I love it. You're just all around amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to share about Humans I Trust. First of all, I just want to acknowledge you for the big and beautiful heart that you have and the way that you show up. I remember we just loved each other from the first moment that we met, and it was just this instant connection. And I just, I remember going on your Instagram and seeing it said the conscious marketer. And as someone who used to run a marketing agency in London for many years and, left that industry because we got called into a meeting at McDonald's, and they were like, Virginia, we have 95% market penetration, but we want to have people eating McDonald's for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, McDonald's for dinner. I take it very seriously when someone actually dedicates themselves and their superpowers and their energy to a more conscious flow and just a more open and present space of being. And so I just want to acknowledge you for that, because it's so special and it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful that you know, you're giving me this time and interviewing me and putting the spotlight on me, but I just quickly just want to like shine it right back on you. That this is why like I show up and this is why I be here, because you're just like so full of love, and I'm excited, you know, to be connecting with your conscious community and all the beautiful people that you bring into your vortex. So thank you. I love you. It is so noticeable and apparent that what a big light you are in this world.
I appreciate you. Thank you kindly. I'm just a mirror of your beauty.
Okay. Okay then. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that beautiful intro. I have a very colorful background in a lot of different things, and I've played in a lot of different arenas in order to come together and steward this community of, you know, global entrepreneurs and activists and artists and change makers and people who all share a common thread of really showing up in their highest in every moment, and just realizing that this life that we have is a gift, and we are very privileged in order to have this understanding to break out of what we've been told in school and universities by our parents or people around us. You need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be successful. You need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be respected. And just really follow your higher dream. And while you're doing that, realizing like, oh, wow, like this is actually the thing, you know. And it's crazy because we, you know, as a team, we work very unconventionally. And before yesterday, we went into this really high level facilitated session where we all just like allowed ourselves to fully express like into our inner child, like regressing back into our life. And it's interesting like how deep the conditioning is, and how like all of our parents or, you know, people in our life at one point told us, you know, what we're doing is wrong, and, you know, and you're not living up to my expectations, and, you know, you should be this way, you should be like your sister, why don't you take life more seriously, and all this other kind of stuff, you know. And so yeah, we're really a community of people who have, you know, seen that pattern and stepped back from it and thought, okay, well, what is my legacy, and how can I actually help the earth? How can I be more connected to myself? How can I trust myself more deeply? How can I trust others more deeply? And there's I think it's like passage 48 of the Tao Te Ching, and it says, the master trusts those who are trustworthy, and the master also trusts those who are not trustworthy. This is true trust. And I just think that's like, it's so important, because it's like, how do we actually step away from the blame game and like pointing fingers at others and being like, you're right, you're wrong, you're trustworthy, you're not trustworthy? How can we just be an embodiment of love and expansion in every moment? And yeah, so we gather beautiful humans all over the world and deep connective spaces and co-create and mastermind and play and celebrate. And we're actually just in connection with this really amazing other organization that, like, I don't know if I told you in like our last mastermind that I've been like wanting to build like the Humans I Trust economy, like on blockchain, and where it's like the next level of like social media and people can like connect and all this stuff. And it was going to take me like 2 years to like build this thing, because it's like quite extensive. And now we just connected with another organization that built my dream, like the dream platform that I've been asking for. And then some, like they put in stuff that I never thought about, right? Like project management tools, like really advanced, like kind of building in ClickUp and all these other things into this one platform. And the alpha is going to be ready in September. So like in our October meeting. Yeah, I know, right? I'm just like, whoa. So in our October
Manifestation
Humans
at
I
its
Trust meeting, I'm gonna
finest.
like present this. Oh my gosh, it's like saved us like millions of dollars. Like I'm just like, wow. So yeah, it's just like a really cool, like rapid manifestation portal. What like happens when you really step into like collaboration and co-creation of this, like, oh, like it doesn't matter, like at the end, you know, like when we in world peace, it doesn't matter whose like logo is on the flag. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, Humans I Trust did this, or, I trust you did this. It's just like, oh no, we actually just did the thing that we're here to do. And I think that is just like highest priority and like most important. This is why collaboration, co-creation is just so important to me.
I love that. I think that as I've evolved through my experience on this human journey on Mother Earth,
Mm.
I've defined the beauty of our experiences, our X factors, and they really contributing more to our big purpose, our why. And
Mm.
as I've traveled to the ends of the planet to try to discover myself, only to discover that I have to come inside my heart. Only that all the answers lie inside
Yeah.
of me. Like it's so fascinating, And so I think that all of us go through these defining moments, and these defining moments are moments that really help us recognize how important it is to go with this mission. Now,
Mm.
for me, it's pivoted even a little bit more. So I'm like a lot more focused now on really bringing people out of their heads into their hearts, really communicating from that level of embodied love and like sharing it with
Mm.
love and playfulness, their mission. But for you, with humans, I
Mm.
trust, what has been a pivotal or massive experience or defining factor that was like, listen, this is what I need to create and this is what I need
Mm.
to go do, and I'm gonna do it no matter what. I'm following this instinct.
Mm. Yeah, so like initially when I started Humans I Trust, it never was meant to be like a community or like an organization or anything that is like continuous. Like it was just a mastermind where I literally invited all the humans that I trusted in Bali to like a villa that I booked, and I was just like, okay, like I feel like we are kind of wasting our potential. So many people are working on these incredible projects, like little islands and all these solutions, like for the earth, really powerful and good things. But we're not actually self organizing. We're not communicating. We're all going back to our little houses, our offices, getting on our Zoom calls and, connecting with people all over the world and just like trying to sort of fix our problems or get to the next stage of development. But we're not actually like sitting down with the people that we know and just like, okay, I'm actually really stuck here. I don't know what's going on, but I can't figure this out. And or I'm feeling really like out of balance and not in alignment, or I can't figure out this whole financial thing. Like for some reason, I've been working for 4 years and I just can't make the company profitable. Whatever that plethora and spectrum of things is, when we are not actually gathering, especially with the people that are in physical proximity to us, right? A lot of our life has transitioned into the online space. And so I really, yeah, I just called in the humans that I trusted so that we can like sit down and have really honest conversations about what we need, and how we can advance our projects and is actually meant to work together. And so, yeah, within 4 days, like 55 people showed up. Like I was expecting maybe only like 10, 20 people to be there. And everyone, paid a ticket and was really all in. And I was like, wow, like wow, this is cool. This is like the most effortless, dope thing I've ever created. And then the community was like, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? And so it just like, it built itself out of its own need to exist and to be. And so it just, it was interesting as well, because sometimes when something is so easy, it's like you don't believe it. Like we're so used to this like narrative of like things need to be difficult and it has to be like a struggle and um like a really difficult birth, right, of like something extraordinary. But actually it can just be easy and graceful and just make total sense and just build itself, so that you don't have to market it, you don't have to push it down anyone's throats. People are just like, oh, can I like know more about this, please? Like, can you share more? Like, can you come here? Like, I would love to collaborate with you, you're invited. Oh, please use our space. And so it was just, and because it built itself so organically, there was like a point where I just didn't put my main focus on it, because at the same time I was building an educational platform for us called I Trust University. And I was just like, this must be the thing. Like, people need to be educated, people need to be supported. I need to have all this like structural, like old world kind of education around it in order to really prove our worthiness, right? And then I just realized, I was like, oh no, actually it wants to be something completely different, and it wants to just be a humans I trust education platform where our members are the facilitators and the teachers. And so yeah, I would really say like that fire and that knowingness was just like super steady and like beautiful. Like it was just like organic and created itself, where I just got to just enjoy it, and just in the unfolding and in the presence of it. So yeah. I
I
hope
love
that
that. I
answered
think
your
that's
question.
magic. It's magically created, and I think that that's something that I really would love to take a page out of that book, because I feel
Mm,
very drawn and connected to so many people,
mm,
and there's always like this. I become this bridge to so many different layers of like
mhm.
evolution, and it's like wait, but he's doing this, so why don't you do like let's bring you together, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see that. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely take a page out of that book and like see how it's like can create that space for a lot of individuals that I trust and love in this world, and
Mm,
bring how that commingling and co-elevation can really bring a new level. And we can all do that, like we can all have our own like, whether wherever you are in life is like you can always find those humans you trust, bring them together and ask for help. I think that's the biggest
mm,
thing that I've realized, even just being recently in Brazil, was like, listen, I thought I needed to figure out all by myself, only to discover that I failed, like on my face, to recognize, hey, like this was a great gift. Like it wasn't a bad, like failure isn't bad. Failure to me was a moment of like, oh, like this is like a gift to
mm,
see how I can take it and create an opportunity about like the resilience that's inside of me. So really going
mm,
through your experience and knowing that you've been through a lot of like ups and downs, ebbs and flows, this is the way of our journeys. What has been one of the key moments where you needed to really dig deep and find yourself, maybe through failure or through an experience, where
mm,
you found that resilience in yourself?
mm. Yeah, I think I'll just like draw from like a really recent moment where, you and I were supposed to jump on the podcast, and I just like broke down crying, which like has a lot to say about you as well, and like your presence and your safety and your love, right? To create that field to like fully allow me to express was like what was alive for me in that moment. And yeah, so thank you. And yeah, so I'm in this part now of the journey where I did do a lot of it alone for a really long time, because I felt like it was like my responsibility, and I had to provide for the people around me. And it's like this like common theme that I have, that I'm just like, okay, like let me just hold everyone. Like let me just hold and feed and house and nourish everyone around me, and just like be this like big like mothering force, because I'm quite capable, and I have like quite a lot of energy and a lot of resilience. Like resilience is actually like one of my favorite words on the entire planet. I think it's so important. And as like a very resilient human, I just like carry. And then I want to just solve everyone's like abundance trauma and like everyone's pain, and I just like sort of like take it all on, and I'm just like, no, it's okay. Like I'm here now, and you're good and you're safe, and no one's ever gonna hurt you again. Like that's kind of like how I
Mm.
step into things. And because I do that, I feel like I have naturally quite secluded myself, and taken things on solo, because it was easier for me to like walk the journey and like trek the mountain without really having to carry a lot. And so I would just go out with minimal supplies and have like a little backpack of, a few things, but it wouldn't allow me to go very far, because I would constantly get depleted and then have to stop and replenish or whatever. But now I'm in the part of the journey where I'm understanding my little, ways in which I carry too much and start carrying everyone up on my back up Kilimanjaro. And so what is happening is that I'm starting to communicate because a team is forming. We're around like 11 people now all over the world, of like core Humans I Trust team. And I'm able to communicate to them, hey guys, I have this silly little habit where I try to carry you all on my back and I actually disempower you in doing so and stop you from learning your own, mastery in your own ways. And I just carry you all. Can we try this thing where you actually don't let me carry you, but where you just stand in your own embodiment and self-mastery, and we walk together and you carry food in all of your backpacks so that if one of us run out, you're there. And so I really believe in in this sort of leadership model where the person who knows what to do next is in charge. Like me as the founder, the CEO, I don't want to be like that main beacon that everyone just needs to, oh, is this approved? Can I do this? Or, and it just like, it dilutes the entire quality of everything. And I just really believe that we need to step away from the hierarchy of the way we run, all of our organizations and families, and step into this distributed leadership model where we can all step in, right? And so what I was doing in the moment where you and I, yeah, it's like such a game changer. When you and I were trying to jump on the call is like, I was carrying everyone again, and I was trying to solve all of the problems and like, find us a new like Humans I Trust, like HQ, like here in Boulder, Colorado. And like things weren't working out. And then I like found one place, and then the energetics of that was not right. Right. And then there's like all these other things. And so I've been in this like process of the last week of just deepening my connection to my team like more than ever before, and like stepping into my vulnerability and just like opening my heart and just being like, hey, like, this is me, like I'm a human being, these are my tendencies, this is this is what I do, this is the way I hold myself back, this is the way I like disempower myself and disempower you in the process. And so what it does is actually it builds such a higher resilience, right, for myself, for them, because we all get to step in our power and really take self-responsibility. And it's just like, wow, it's amazing. And I'm just so honored. Like, it's just like when you have like a group of people that are like, I am dedicated to this vision, right? And I truly believe that, in the beginning, some of my team would say, oh, we're here to support your vision. And it's like, no, 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 this isn't my vision. I'm one of the holders and the facilitators of this vision. But the reason why you're here is because you had the same vision as I did long time ago, long before you met me. You held this and you saw this, and you think that the way that we're expressing this vision right now is something that is your, highest fuck yes and deeply resonates with you. And this is why we're here in this dance, right? And so it's just so amazing and so humbling having people who I believe are, absolutely our superpowers, and we're gonna send that love into this shared vision that's being created. So yeah, it's pretty magnificent.
I love that you, first of all, thank you for being so like vulnerable and authentic, as you always are.
Mm.
And when you jumped on that call, it was really beautiful to just hold space for you in that manner, and like allow you to like really come out. I think the biggest thing that you've also nourished and you've been able to discover is yourself. So that as a result of building those relationships with your team and empowering them to go through in such a deep component and really emphasize how that needs to do, it allowed you did that first with yourself, right? So what is it that you have discovered inside of yourself that you've been able to translate to your team in such an empowering way?
Yeah. So I noticed the way in which we hide a lot and dilute and try to sort of cover up. It's like, oh well, like don't look at this part of me. Like I want you to see Virginia Salas Castillo, like, big superstar, serial entrepreneur, da, 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 like all this other kind of stuff. And we put on this like big armor where we mask so many parts, right? It's just like, oh well, like what will they think of me if I say this, like what, but I need to pretend like I know everything. Like it's just like we have like layer upon layer upon layer, and it's just like our protection, because we're so afraid to lose love or connection, or that something that we might say might trigger someone else, right? And it actually stops people from feeling you and truly showing up for you. And so I think within that process, and you learn from other people, right? It's just like you watch someone and you're like, oh, what, like that person, and like everything that they're present to, like they're not like pretending, and you can tell like we are very energetically sensitive beings. Like sometimes I can feel what someone is thinking. Like I can feel if someone is out of balance. Like the other day, we, after our summer camp luxury retreat that we did here in Colorado, Jessica wakes up and she's sitting on the couch, and like I look at her and I was like, you look like shit today, and I just kind of like said it like in a jokingly playful way, and she like looks at me and she's just like, dude, I'm going through it right now, and it was just because I like addressed that, and I did it like in such an honest way. I was just like, dude, like I can see it, like you're not here, you're not present. And sometimes like we just we leave our bodies and we just like go into autopilot, and we're like, uh-huh, yep, uh-huh, we're like not even here. It's because there's something that is not being addressed or expressed inside us that needs to be seen. And so the more we can create like safe spaces and just being like, you know what, you get to be imperfect, and you get to be angry or upset, and there's something can come up with you, which is like a wound with your mother or your father or your family or whatever. And we're gonna stop everything that we're doing right now, and we're just gonna listen to you, because that's the highest priority. And our energy affects each other, because if you're feeling it in your system, then I'm probably going to feel it in my system. And then if we're working all day with that in the energetic body of the space, like it's gonna dilute the quality of our work. And so if we make it the highest priority, that in every moment we really are in our full self-expression, that we really are held and honest and truthful exactly the way that we are. And I feel the tendency sometimes where I'm just like, oh wow, this is like very dark and like very obnoxious and annoying right now, and I don't have time for this because I need to get on sales calls, or I need to do this marketing copy here, and I'm behind on all my tasks and to-do lists. I'm just like, oh, I really don't want to deal with it right now. And there's that part of me that I can feel like pushing it away. And then I need to soften into that and just be like, okay, let me remember what's important right now. And let me hold everyone like in their sacredness and in their innocence. And so I think it's just because I've like realized the importance of that and the importance of my own truth. And because otherwise we're totally going down the wrong freaking path. Like we're just like, oh, I think this is important. And then you're building yourself like some BS bridge of things that are not important. And then that's when you like start companies and work on projects and collaborate with people that aren't in alignment, and that like don't actually bring you joy, and that you're just like totally wasting your time with. And then you have to start all over again, which is, what some people call failure, which I just feel is just, a redirection.
Yeah.
And it's just like listening to that and being like, okay, cool, awesome. So here is the pattern where I did this again, and that didn't actually work out so well for me. How can I redirect into like more expansion and play and joy? Okay, cool. Like, let's go that way.
I feel that in a big way, and it's like there's always an easier way that actually you're being redirected to. Funnily
Yeah.
enough, you know what I mean? And you mentioned about this element of expression, and really,
Mhm.
because I feel it's a powerful tool to like build that relationship with myself. As you're saying,
Mhm.
like as we are able to do that, we can continue to then build that self efficacy, right? Knowing that any challenge is going to come our way and we're going to be like, yes. And that is an ultimate form of this like self love, right? Because you're holding space, knowing that you're showing up in this type of expression, no matter what challenge you're being faced with. And then you get into this place where you're like, actually, yes, I can forgive myself because you're having space for yourself to have compassion. But more importantly, because you have that compassion for, knowing whatever you ended up doing was an opportunity to redirect you, is now actually being passed on to all of these beautiful humans that you meet. And because you're able to hold such tremendous levels of compassion, you're actually, I believe compassion is the highest form. I mean, Osho, he said that compassion is the highest form of love, and I really believe that. And so when you're able to hold compassion in that place for yourself all the time, like it doesn't matter how anybody shows up to you. It won't matter, because then you're in this place of like, listen, I love you, I get you, you're doing the best you can.
Mhm.
How can we work together? And then that takes you to the final step, which is self-actualization, where it takes you to this place of like going through your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge, and really speaking that into life, or creating that into life, and like passing that on to the people that you love, right? And ideally, like we all want to just like be in this beautiful place of loving each other. So understanding, for me, that has been the journey of my spirit and how like I've wanted to discover. But what would you say to somebody that is in this place, of wanting to step more into leadership, right? And identify with their team or their organization or their following or their audience or their community. Maybe they don't even have one yet. How would you suggest is the best way that they can really start to embody that in themselves before they actually start speaking about it to the world?
Hmm. I really love the way that you phrase that, embodying it in themselves before they start speaking it to the world, right? Um, because that's really that step that it takes. Because you can't start just speaking it before you can actually embody it, right? And people are going to feel that. Um, yeah, I really think that if you're someone that is like trying to, you know, step more into your leadership and really like own your voice and own your truth and your power, and like show up authentically and like have people really feel you. um I feel like the first and the most important thing to do is just really allowing yourself to feel safe in that space, and realizing that there's nothing that you can lose, and that there's like this little like leap of faith that we like step into. We're like, oh, what if I get judged for who I actually am? It's so easy to get judged for someone who you're not, and who you're just pretending to be, and this like wall that you put up of like perfection and like flawlessness and like always just being happy, like whatever that is. And it's so much easier than if you're getting judged for that. You're like, great, that's not me anyways. They don't know me. They don't know who I am. They can't touch me, right? Because there's always something between me and them. And we feel that, we know that, and you're gonna feel it because there's something inside of you that isn't gonna ever fully be met. Because how can you really allow yourself to receive love, to receive how infinite and loved and expansive and talented and incredible that you are, if you're not actually showing all of yourself, and there's always a wall between you? And so realizing that, by uncovering that, and jumping on a call and speaking your truth, all of it, what it really is, that you're going to be so much safer actually in that space, right? And it might be scary at times, but what you're building then is coming from a true place, and from truly who you are, and will feel it, and will show up for you in a whole different way that you've never experienced before.
Mm.
So really allowing yourself to receive that safety, and realizing that you are the master in every moment of your own destiny and of your own life, and that you get to be here and to decide, and that, and you could never be alone, because you're with God. You are God. You are the creator. You are the decision maker. And so also finding that home within inside of yourself, and finding that self-love, and that wholeship, right? And so this is often where human beings suffer a lot of pain, where they're like, oh, well, I'm not enough, I'm dirty, I'm wrong. And then you
Mm.
meet someone else that actually sees you, that like sees a spark, that can see behind that wall and all that other crap that you're putting up. And they're just like, no, 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 you are amazing, you're powerful, which all of us are. It's always there, and then we kind of like latch onto them because suddenly they're giving us meaning, and they're seeing something that other people maybe can't see. And then that's where we enter into a lot of pain in relationships, and like divorce, and like giving away our time, and like, not working on our purpose anymore because we're just so like, distracted on feeding ourselves with this like little bit of, endorphins and serotonin that like comes into our space through that. And so you're coming into wholeness with yourself, and like that is like the true mastery, like it's like, oh, how do I realize that my heart, there's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Mastery of Love. And he's just, it's so perfect. It like describes like unconditional love and self-love, and love and relationship in such an easy way. And he talks about how he's like, imagine you have this magical kitchen, and in this kitchen you can have anything you want, like the best, most high quality like hors d'oeuvres from like France, or the most beautiful like fluffy, delicious, fresh baked like pizza from Italy. It's like whatever you want, like you have in there in this magical kitchen. And you have everything you need, and suddenly someone comes to your doorstep with a pizza, and they say, hey, I will give you this pizza if you will do anything I say and everything I say, and completely give yourself to me. You just like laugh at them in this magical kitchen, like I have everything I want, like I have all the magical pizza, like how about you come in and like sit down here, you can eat something, and it's like such an easy choice to make. But like imagine, you open the door and you haven't eaten in weeks, and you're like starving, and like you're so hungry and you're so depleted, and someone comes and with this like deliciously smelling pizza, and they're like, hey, I'll give you this pizza, but you have to do everything that I say. You're a lot more likely to be like, okay, like just give me the pizza. And
Mm.
so he's just really trying to remind us all that we have this magical kitchen in our hearts in every moment. And I feel like a lot of people in the moment are starving, and are depleted and lonely and exhausted and feel unseen. And I think a big part of that is because we're not actually reaching out with like vulnerability and truth, and saying like, hey, you know what, like I would just like love you to brush my hair right now, or give me a back massage, or or just listen to me, or be present with me. Like we're not actually asking for the things that we want, and we're not allowing ourselves to receive those things. And so um yeah,
Love
I
that.
love
Wow.
thinking about the magical kitchen.
I love that story. It's actually so powerful, and we do have this beautiful kitchen
Mm.
inside of our hearts every single day.
Mm.
It's so beautiful how we need to discover that, though. We have to take the time to like really let go of the image, right? The mask, the because that wall that protects us is the same one that imprisons us. And I've really
Mhm.
discovered that, that in myself. I had like the biggest masks on for the longest times. And it was the most beautiful thing to like discover that I was even wearing them, you know, like because you don't know what you don't know, and it's so beautiful to learn that. So I
Mm.
think if anybody is listening right now and if they're wearing these like moments of masks where they don't know they don't even know that they're wearing one, what do you
Mm-hmm.
think could be a good question that they could ask themselves to see if they might be in a place of like hiding or fear or ego, and meaning ego, not egomania, but ego, like, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
or sorry, egomania is what I meant, because like really in this
Yeah.
place of like holding themselves back. What's a good
Yeah.
question they could ask themselves?
Mm. I feel like it's more like noticing your behavior in conversation when you're not speaking your truth. It can even just be minimal things like, you know, someone's like, oh, like, do you want to go to coffee at Joe's, you know? And you actually don't like Joe's at all. Like you love to go to like the little flower coffee pot or whatever down the street, you know, and then you're like, yeah, okay. You know, instead of just being like, oh my God, I hate Joe's. Like the coffee there's shit. Like, why would you want to go there? Can we go to the flower pot? You know, even just like in that moment, just like speaking your truth. Cause it's like, where do we compromise? And like, where do we like not say what we actually mean? Or so yeah, one of my best friends, her name is Nicole Gibson, and she's the founder of Love Out Loud. And she's, you know, toured the entire world and spoken to over 100,000 people in person all over the globe about love. And she was speaking at our summer camp 2 weeks ago, and she was like, she's like, the most important thing, she's like, if you take away anything from my talk about love, she's like, just speak your truth. Like in every moment, you know, if you like someone, tell them, you know, like there's nothing sexier to being like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm really into you and I feel this like connection and this chemistry and I just love to explore it, you know, just like that instead of just being like, hey, like, you know, what are you doing next Friday? Or just like trying to like get these like little pokes or like these little, you know, you're trying to do something in order to do another thing. But like, why don't you just do the thing that you're trying to do to begin with?
Yeah.
And so I think just noticing where you don't fully speak your truth, and once you just implement your mind, just like ask yourself, am I speaking my truth? Am I speaking my full truth? You're going to notice all the little ways in which you bullshit yourself, in which you self sabotage, in which you don't actually ask for you want. You ask for something else because then you hope that it might get you. Know what I mean? Like it's just like, dude, like we're just like running in these like little maze, like rabbit holes, just like popping in and out, just like I don't know where I am now, but like I think this is gonna maybe bring me to where I actually want to go. You know? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna start becoming like very evident. And I do it too. Like I know it because I have very incredible friends and people around me that have, you know, stepped into a very high level of self mastery. And I've dedicated my entire life since I was a child to being an entertainer, to being an actress, to being a personality, you know, and like have an online following and all these things. Like I didn't accidentally have an online following. It's something that I like pursued very clearly, you know, very clearly. I kind of like used myself after, you know, I was working for Apple for 3 years and I was working for Oracle. And then I realized I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to create content. I want to share a message of love and joy in the world. And so I did it very strategically as if I was one of my clients at Apple,
Mm.
you know, building a business plan and a marketing strategy around who I am, you know. And so with that, there also comes a level of ego. There comes a level of like trying to look good or like looking at my photos and being like, oh, I look really fat in that, or I don't like how my belly looks there, you know, or like, or what are they going to think about this person that I'm dating, you know, or are they good looking enough? Does this fit to my image and all this other kind of stuff, you know? It's like, as like a personality, as an influencer, I have layers of that like I don't even see because everyone is just like acknowledging me all the time about how awesome I am and how amazing I am. And I'm just like patting myself on the back, being like, yeah, Virginia, you're doing so well. And in the meantime, I'm not seeing the little ways in which I'm self sabotaging or not speaking my truth or not being the most authentic self. And so it's like important for me to like check that in. So I'm, you know, I'm telling you and I'm telling myself, right? Because there's always a deeper layer of truth that we can
Always.
speak, you know? Yeah.
Oh, it's never ending. Hey, it's like there's so many layers of the discovery of self, and it's super exciting because that means that,
Mm,
you know, the present's beautiful, but like there's so much to be also looking forward to, because, you know, the
mm,
more I recognize that I'm discovering, the more I realize I don't know shit. Like that's
mhm,
fine, you know, and I'm okay with that. Like just a lifelong student, and I think at the end of the day that becomes the power of just like listening and paying attention. I really love that experience, to be able to manifest, you know, all of our wildest dreams. So I know that
mm.
any plans scheduled in the future to travel?
Yeah,
I know you're
so I'm gonna be at the Ecstatic Awakening retreat in Costa Rica. I probably fly like the 13th or the 14th from Colorado to Costa Rica, and I'm going to be attending the retreat as an attendee. It's one of my best friends, Rania Sebastian and Gabriel Rima. Oh yeah, you know both of them.
yeah,
They're at my
amazing. Give
birthday.
them my
Yeah,
love.
I will. And so I haven't like attended a retreat like in, you know, a few years. Like the last one probably that I like went to was like A Fest by Miley. And because I'm always running my own retreats. But she's like a world class facilitator, and she's just like, I think you should come, and I think it would be good for you to just like open and expand yourself and to just like receive. And then after the event, I'm kind of they've asked me to like do a bonus event, which is going to be my crypto love investing masterclass to help people set up their portfolios and stuff like that. So I'm going to get to receive the whole retreat, and then after the retreat, I get to facilitate one of my favorite things in the world and bring everyone massive abundance. So that's going to be really cool and nourishing. And then I fly back to, I'm not sure actually. I don't know if I'm going to fly back to Colorado or go straight from Costa Rica to Orlando, Florida, where I'm going to be facilitating. Hopefully, we're still confirming the last details, but at Disney Magic Kingdom. So I have been asked to facilitate for like thousands of UN youth delegates and facilitate like human connection and celebration, which is going to be really, really special. I think there is also space like for to join as a youth delegate. So if you know anyone, you know, or anyone listening is, you know, in the Orlando area, I think it's a free entry for the youth delegates. You know, they're
Amazing.
just trying to really galvanize, and I think it's yeah, like from like 16 to like 35 or something is the age range.
Beautiful.
And then after that, I'm gonna come back to Colorado, and we're gonna do summer camp volume two, which was the retreat that we just did because it was so successful. We had over 200 members reply and send us an email and just be like, I'm interested in this. And, you know, because last time we announced it, we gave people like 2 week time. So it wasn't really enough for people to like fly in from all over the world. So now we're just doing a second one so that people have more notice. And it's going to be like one of our staple events that we do like twice a year here at this really, really special property. So that's kind of like my schedule, my upcoming schedule at the moment.
Love it. It's
And yeah, and then in the
expanding quickly.
meantime, just doing a lot of, huh?
Expanding quickly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very like just organic and beautiful and makes sense. And I've been really stepping a lot more into the sort of crypto portfolio and securitization one-on-one sessions. One of members just calling was just getting like, where do I put it? Like, what are my DeFi options? And like, it's just like such a complex landscape. And also from a tax point of view, like there's just so many like moving parts. And so it's been really fun and just like creating like strategic moves and putting things into places where they're actually going to grow and where you get the like maximum, you know, percentage and interest as possible. So yeah, so that's what's kind of up in my world in the next few months.
I love it. So if anybody wants to connect with you, find out more about what you're up to, the new summer camp, any of these beautiful events that you're speaking at, what's the best way to connect?
Yeah, so Instagram DM me. Just send me a message with like I love Eric, and I'll know that you were here and listening to this. And so that gives like context. And so just send me a message on DM on Instagram at Virginia Salas Castillo. And if that's too complicated, just do at humans I trust, humans with an S, and send us a DM there. It'll be either be me or someone from the team, and just use the I love Eric as well, and I'll inform my team, and they'll know.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to also leave that in the show notes there, guys. Listen, I have one question before we go, and I want to make sure that I ask it because it's so powerful. If you had 3 days left to live, Virginia, what would you do?
3 days left to live. The first image that came to my mind is laying somewhere on a pristine beach with a lover and just like making love and making out for like an entire day. And then the next thing would probably be is like just being live for like 24 hours or something, or like, you know, just like sharing messages of like love with the world, like leaving behind just like really potent, powerful transmissions that are like media medicine. And then on the last day, probably inviting every single person I know across the world into like the dopest Everland, Neverland venue, you know, with like hot springs and beach and volcano and like I don't even know what, and just like throwing the dopest human connection, Humans I Trust festival this world has ever seen. That's probably how I'd go out.
Love it. That sounds like I hope I'm invited to that one. So listen, thank you so much for your wisdom, your presence, your time, your energy. This was a lot of so much fun, so much value, so much wisdom that you were able to transmute and connect to the audience. So thank you so much. I know how valuable our time is, and it's always a blessing to spend more time together. Do you have any last things that you want to share?
Just to everyone listening, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening up until this moment right now and really receiving the full transmission. It is so important to be in a space of receiving and expanding and exploring and being curious of like, how can I be the best version of myself? How can I be on this journey of self-mastery? And so I just want to honor you for being here with us and sharing this space. And just know that you're loved, and whatever it is that you're trying, really see that you're coming from a space of highest alignment, not because you're trying to get approval from, you know, anyone else, but just from yourself, and really just dedicating your life to the vision of your heart and your highest desires. And I'm so excited for what you get to create. And I love you, Eric. Thank you for creating this space. And this was so fun. Like, I'm excited to share this with my community because it was just, I think, a really dope, powerful transmission. And that's the space that we co-create here. So I love you and acknowledge you for that deeply.
I love you. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you in Ibiza, hopefully. Hey everyone, and thank you so much for listening to The Resilient Minds. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to go comment and like and follow us on iTunes or Spotify, and please make sure that if you really love this, to share this episode, and make sure that you're inviting all your friends to like it as we continue to unfold what the beauty of our minds does. More importantly, how powerful our heart level of intelligence can be when we combine our heart and our brain together. And more importantly, check out the alignment course that I've created. It's seriously there for you to take advantage of at www.ericbalance.com/alignment. See you on the next show.